That's the thing about life. It can be unpredictable, but your dreams need not be. How far would you go to make your dreams come true? How close are you to reaching those goals set by you? While others focus on a new normal, you focus on a new beginning. Look around for what inspires you. Build your narrative. After all, it's your story to tell. Take a chance. Take a leap. Begin your study abroad journey with us.
I'd never even been to Boston before moving to Simmons, so I really had no idea. I mean, I knew it was a big city. I had been to New York before, which really isn't anything like Boston, but that's kind of the picture that I had in my mind just because that was the only East Coast city that I had ever been to.
I had actually been to Boston when I was in 8th grade. I came out here for a family trip, and that's when I knew I had to come to the East Coast for college. I was most afraid of regretting my choice of moving so far, but I was lucky enough to have a wonderful father who encouraged me, and I really just wanted to take this risk and this big leap of faith into my education.
I went to boarding school in a town here in Massachusetts and didn't have a lot of people in it, so I thought maybe all of America was like that too, where I'm just isolated from the world. But that wasn't the case at all.
One thing that I was really worried about was losing my friendships from home, especially because I'm really close with 2 friends and they're still in the same area. So I knew that they would be hanging out a lot, and I was kind of worried that maybe I would get shut out or that we would just grow apart. But honestly, I think the distance has made our friendship stronger, because then whenever I come home, it's so exciting to see everyone and we hang out a lot.
I was nervous about feeling like left out, or that maybe people have acclimated to this easier because they grew up here, but that wasn't the case. I felt like everybody had a struggle, even people who came from Massachusetts, that they had a struggle adjusting to college life. But then I got to meet MISO, and I got to meet a bunch of people from my class, and the Center for Global Education introduced me to a bunch of international students. So it was really easy to connect with other people in Simmons.
The food, I think, was a little different. I had never had a taste of clam chowder or lobster roll, but I think the most prevalent culture shock was the sports fans. I had never seen such passionate sports fans in my life.
Whenever I feel homesick, I just, thankfully we have technology, Skype my mom, I call them up, whenever there's a birthday, I'm not really missing it, they always Skype me in and I'm part of that, and whenever it's my birthday, they all Skype in, and it's hard sometimes, but Boston is my home as well. That it's not just I'm away from home, I have 2 homes.
When you come to Simmons, you will find your niche, the people that you want to have around you for these 4 years, and people that you're going to have even beyond that. My advice is to embrace the fear, and you're probably afraid because you know that this is such a big opportunity.
I did get into schools in Indiana, which were great schools, but I knew that I really wanted to branch out and try something new, and especially Boston is such a great place to do that. There's so many other college kids, there's so much going on all the time, academic and non-academic, that Boston and Simmons are really amazing places to be. And just in general, I think stepping out of your comfort zone and moving to a new place, even if it is so far, really pushes you to kind of become a good, self-sufficient, best person that you can be.
Hi, welcome to AECC Global show today. Ya, selamat malam dengan Miss Tiffany dari Kaplan International. Saya perkenalkan, and let me introduce to you
Malam.
O'Toole. Is it correct? Did I pronounce it correctly? Hello?
Yes, it's Leslie O'Toole.
Yeah, Leslie O'Toole. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'll start with Miss Tiffany for the questions first. Then before I will go to Miss Leslie, Dr. Leslie. Yeah. Okay. First question here. Is there any Indonesian or Asian student community at Siemens Boston? What do you think?
So
Yes.
yes,
Okay, mungkin
um,
mm,
Okay.
okay, I think I can just start first by
Sure.
introducing us and also
Yeah.
mungkin aku akan berbicara dalam bahasa Indonesia ya. Mungkin
Yeah.
teman-teman ada yang agak kesulitan juga dalam bahasa Inggris, that's absolutely fine. Mungkin
Mm-hmm.
perkenalkan nama saya Tiffany dan kita hadir juga bersama dengan Dr. Leslie bersama kita dengan malam hari ini untuk membahas untuk Women in STEM dan juga
Yeah.
untuk pertanyaan dari Pak Ferry, yes. Jadi memang kalau untuk dari Siemens sendiri, memang kita kebetulan belum ada untuk permias dari Siemens. Karena mungkin untuk
Okay.
teman-teman yang udah tahu untuk studi di US, memang ada persatuan mahasiswa Indonesia di Amerika, dan biasanya memang
Mm-hmm.
itu akan tergantung apakah dari universitinya ada, atau biasanya per area, atau misalkan ya per city lah. Jadi kalau untuk dari Siemens sendiri, currently permias kita memang lebih ke area dari Massachusetts. Jadi biasanya untuk teman-teman sendiri, definitely kalian bisa langsung aja go to Instagram, and kalian juga langsung ketik aja permias Massachusetts. Kalian bisa reach out ke situ. Biasanya in the biggest intake di fall semester juga mereka bakal ada yang melakukan kayak semacam orientasi. Jadi definitely mereka juga akan istilahnya kalian bisa inviting dan bisa langsung make a connection with all the Indonesian students, fellow your Indonesian students juga di Massachusetts. Tapi kalau kita
Okay.
ngomongin tentang mungkin klub secara general dari pihak
Uh-huh.
Siemens itu sendiri, mungkin nanti akan ada penjelasan lebih banyak juga dari Leslie. Nah, kalau untuk dari kita sendiri, memang kita juga ada beberapa clubs and organization, obviously. Mungkin yang menarik
Mm-hmm.
untuk di Siemens sendiri, kita memiliki semacam colleges, kind of like a group of university, yang dinamakan adalah Colleges on Fenway, di mana memang untuk dari clubs dan activities-nya, biasanya kita akan combine. Mungkin to give you guys like a brief introduction, jadi kalau untuk dari Siemens sendiri, kita memang lebih ke female concentrate university, jadi kita women centered university, di mana memang student-student kita lebih banyak perempuan, obviously, tapi bukan berarti untuk community-nya ataupun of the classroom-nya itu benar-benar pure semuanya women. Karena definitely dari segi of classes activities itu bakal masih banyak juga yang co-ed bersama dengan co-ed students-nya. Jadi nggak hanya untuk perempuan aja. Tadi juga mungkin udah disaksikan juga untuk video yang sebelumnya kita start off with, itu memang dari supportnya diberikan juga cukup a lot. Jadi memang bukan berarti kalau ketika kalian attending Women's University, it means kind of like kalian cuma hanya benar-benar punya temannya wanita dan kalian nggak bisa istilahnya terekspos dengan dunia luar. That's not the thing. Jadi memang kita juga akan lebih banyak exposure dengan the other kind of like co-ed communities juga. Or Leslie, you want to add on something about the clubs and
Yeah.
organization about what you guys kind of like offer? I just mentioned that it's not going to be all clubs and organization will be all women. So you might just add on for kind of like a few things on.
Yeah, so there are many clubs at Simmons itself, but Simmons belongs to, as Tiffany said, something called the Colleges of the Fenway, which is a consortia of 5 universities right there in the area. And I'll take you on a small little tour so you can see exactly how close they all are. And the other universities are all co-ed. And the Colleges of the Fenway has its own building that kind of includes all these different universities and the students at these universities to create other communities, clubs, theater productions, sports, minors, and other types of events for the students. So even if you go to Simmons and maybe you see, there's not a lot of students here that are maybe Indonesian, Southeast Asian, but there are at the Colleges of the Fenway because it's a consortia of many universities. So Simmons only has about 1,800 undergraduate students, but the Colleges of the Fenway together, all 5 of them have 12,000 students. So you get the best of both worlds. And you can also take classes at the other universities in the Colleges of the Fenway. So if you have, in the College of the Fenway, we have a Institute of Technology. We also have a College of Fine Arts and Design and a College of Pharmacy and Health Studies. So if you want to, major in biochemistry at Simmons or data analytics, then you can still do a minor in pharmacy, for example, if that was something of interest to you. Or if you're an artist but you want to do STEM, but you still want to bring in your art, you could do graphic design as a minor at the Massachusetts College of Art Design. So there's lots of options that allows for students, even though you're attending one small little art school, which gives you the, one-on-one care, the small class sizes, but you still get all the benefits of a larger school. And so I think it's just a best of both worlds.
Exactly, indeed.
Okay. How many Asian students there, like foreign students at your school, Dr. Leslie?
At Simmons, between the
Yeah.
undergraduates and graduates, because at the graduate level, Simmons is a co-ed school. So just at the undergraduate level is it women's center, but at the graduate level, we have men and women. And so between graduate and undergraduate, I think there are about, I'd say 60 international students, and that number is growing. So it is a small international student community, and it is one that is continuing to grow. But because it is a small international student community, there is a lot of care from the International Student Office. Each student meets with the Director of International Students, the Center for Global Education, Ella, every semester, one-on-one, has a one-on-one meeting with her to see how things are going. So there's a lot of specialized care because it is a smaller community. And then again, in the College of the Fenway, because it is 5 different universities, you get the bigger international student community.
If I'm not mistaken, your school probably is very close to Northeastern?
Yes.
Fenway Stadium?
Yes, it is very close to Northeastern.
Okay.
Fenway Stadium. It is right next to the Harvard Medical School, Harvard Dental School. It is right across the street from Merck, the Merck Labs.
And the stadium, Fenway Stadium, right?
Fenway Stadium is just on the street. Yeah, baseball. It's in the perfect location in Boston, and I'll show you in a little tour how close everything is. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum is across the street.
Because I used to stay in the Fenway before when I visited Boston.
Okay, so you know the area. Yeah, because it has the stadium, but it also has all the shopping right there. So you don't have to go very far to go like Target or Sephora or different restaurants. It's all right there. But then also where the students are, it's all the hospitals and there's just within that area, I'd say within half a mile of Simmons, there's probably 10 or 15 different universities.
Yep. Thank you. Back to Miss Tiffany. For the entry requirements undergrad and the scholarship information, please. Could you describe it, please?
Oke, ini mungkin yang paling part of the exciting. Mungkin nanti ada bakal another exciting point that will be explained by Leslie about the dual degree engineering program with one of our university partners. But tapi untuk sekarang mungkin aku akan informasikan untuk entry requirements-nya. Jadi kalau untuk entry requirements-nya sendiri, kita looking at GPA minimum 3.0 dan juga kita menerima one of the English entry qualification, whether is IELTS, TOEFL, ataupun Duolingo. Jadi untuk Duolingo pun kita baru aja confirm bahwa untuk fall 2021 pun kita masih bisa menerima. Mungkin untuk teman-teman yang sekarang masih considering apakah aku ngambil TOEFL, apakah aku ngambil IELTS, apakah aku ngambil Duolingo, that's absolutely fine. Kalian juga bisa reach out langsung ke AECC kalau misalkan memang kalian ada rencana untuk mau apply, mau nanya-nanya lebih lanjut, karena kita juga akan menyediakan one of the privilege untuk menyediakan voucher untuk Duolingo testnya juga. Dan untuk scholarship-nya, yes. Jadi untuk scholarship-nya mungkin we really excited to mention bahwa kita memiliki scholarship yang worth 20.000 per tahunnya. Jadi if you guys completing at Siemens 4 tahun, berarti untuk tuition fee worth-nya itu bakal 80.000. Tapi kalau misalkan teman-teman hanya misalkan 2 tahun, and then kalian wish untuk transfer di other university atau mungkin di other program yang nanti in a second juga Leslie bakal info juga untuk dari 2 degree kita pun kalian juga bisa mendapatkan itu. Jadi untuk scholarship itu kalian bisa entitled untuk how many years yang kalian bakal study at Siemens. Tapi itu limitnya berarti 4 tahun karena kan memang untuk dari S1-nya juga 4 tahun. Di luar dari English dan juga academic, definitely kita juga akan membutuhkan students untuk submit personal statement dan juga untuk letter of recommendation letter. Tapi aside from this 4 mandatory application required, kalian nggak perlu khawatir, semuanya juga akan dibantu oleh AECC nanti untuk proses application-nya.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a presentation I can share with you that has all of this information. Yeah.
Yes, if you wish to.
Yeah, it might be easier. And then, okay. There we go.
Yeah.
So I'll just start at the beginning. So this is just our Simmons mission statement. Again, it is a women-centered university, and we combine intellectual leadership with professional preparation. So a lot of hands-on learning, real-world learning has been part of the Simmons mission since the very beginning. And so that's, I know that's something that a lot of universities are doing now, but it's something that Simmons has been doing all along. Here's just some stats about Simmons so you can get a better idea. We are the #1 best value university in Boston. So there are many universities in Boston, and we're #1 best value, meaning you're going to get the most for your money. We're top 125 in the U.S., ranked highly by U.S. students, and a high best value in the USA, and a number 77 private university in the USA. Here are some numbers as well so you can get an idea of, again, I mentioned 1,800 undergraduate women. We have over 60 majors and programs. We have 80 clubs and organizations, and then also the Colleges of Fenway has many more clubs and organizations. The student to faculty ratio is very low, and that starts from the first year on. A lot of bigger universities, the very first year or second year in school, you're taking some of these bigger classes and you have 500 students in a class. At Simmons, the max is about 50 for those big classes, and then all your other classes maybe 11 to 1 or even smaller. So just to give you an idea, we do have an international student population, and it's very diverse. So it's not just focused on one particular country or area of the world. It's an extremely diverse student population, everywhere from South America to Eastern Europe, Africa, Asia, Southeast Asia, etc. So it's a very, very diverse student population. It is a residential campus. There are 9 residence halls. There's 5 colleges in the College of the Fenway, and there's 15 colleges within walking distance. Very, very close, lots and lots of students to meet. So even though Simmons is a small university and has only 1,800 students at that university on this small campus, you have over 300,000 students in Boston that you can meet. Okay, so it's a pretty unique experience. But here is a photo of the academic campus. So this is the main academic building where you have the 2 different dining restaurants in there, lots of places for students to congregate. Some of the bigger classrooms are in here. And then during nice days, you see lots of students all over the grass. There's lots of different chairs and stuff for students to sit in and study.
Wow,
it's a very popular area. Again, here, Fenway, as you mentioned. We'd go to the Red Sox games quite often when they're playing because it's right there. There's the Museum of Fine Arts is extremely close by. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, which I mentioned, is across the street, and all students have free admission to that museum. And I don't know if you've seen, there has been a Netflix series about a robbery at the museum. Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, very famous robbery in the 70s, and they've never ever found the art again. And so it's a very unique museum and very, very beautiful because it's designed like an Italian villa. And Isabella Stewart Gardner was a very, very wealthy lady back in the late 19th century, early 20th century, and she was very eccentric. So it's very interesting. So there's lots and lots of things in Boston in general, as you saw those students in that first video say. Boston is just an amazing city in general, and you're going to be in the heart of it here at Simmons. Everything's within walking distance. So here's an idea of different majors and minors, and I know that this, we're talking about women in STEM. So we do have quite a few STEM majors. For our students, from data science and analytics to chemistry management, biostatistics, biology, biochemistry, physics. And we even have some 3+1 programs. So 3+1, for example, a Master of Arts in Public Policy. So a student that would be in this program would do 3 years at their undergraduate and then 1 year for their master's. So in 4 years, they would receive a master's degree at Simmons. And that also is library and information science. Then we have some 4+1. So in 5 years, they would then have a master's, an undergraduate master's. So that would be nutrition and health promotion, nursing, a Master of Science in social work. And then we have a 3+3 that gives you a doctorate in physical therapy. So that in 6 years, you can have a doctorate and call yourself doctor. And in physical therapy, which is very much a growing field in the US and I think around the world. They also have a lot of pre-professional advising for pre-law and pre-med. So because we are in the Longwood medical area, there are a lot of students that come to Simmons that end up going to medical school. And in 2018, Simmons started this mentoring program with former Simmons students who are now doctors in the Longwood medical area, who are helping mentor Simmons students that want to go into medical school. So they're helping mentor these students through the process of choosing their medical school, choosing their degree beforehand, and studying for their MCATs. So there's a big mentorship program, and the alumni network in general at Simmons is very, very strong because it is such a small, tight-knit community of women. So it is a very strong alumni community, and we do leverage that in many different ways, but the pre-med one I think is one of the strongest ways to leverage it because of the location of Simmons. You walk 10 minutes down the street and you're surrounded by at least 6 different top hospitals, top US hospitals. So it's, I know Tiffany also mentioned this Columbia University dual degree. So this is a brand new offering. This fall is the very first semester that students are doing it, and it's something they're still developing as they see what students are looking for. So the original idea is that it's an engineering 3+2 dual degree. So you would receive 2 bachelor's degrees in 5 years. One of them is from Simmons and one is from Columbia University. Simmons does not offer an engineering degree, unfortunately. So the way that they offer engineering options for students is with this partnership. So students would earn a Bachelor of Science from Simmons in 3 years, and then a Bachelor of Science in Engineering in 2 years from Columbia. So they would transfer. You would have to indicate your interest in the program this summer before enrolling. So on your application, once you're accepted, you have to say, okay, this is what I want to go into. Can I get into it? And the way it happens is they have to choose a specific degree based on the specific engineering degree they want to go into. So looking back at these majors, if a student wants to go into, for example, bioengineering, the degree that they would study at Simmons would be probably biology, biochemistry, or biostatistics, okay? If a student wanted to go into computer engineering, they would study computer science at Simmons, right? So they want to make sure that the path is something that matches, okay? So not if a student decides they're studying biology, but then later wants to go into chemical engineering, that might be a little bit more difficult. Okay, so that they have an advisor that helps guide them throughout the path to make sure that they have all the classes they need in order to successfully transfer to Columbia University. Students will apply to Columbia in their 3rd year. The only reason they have to apply to Columbia and are not automatically admitted into Columbia is because Columbia does not want students to use this as a way to get into Columbia if they've already been denied admittance. So if a student right now is looking to go to university in the US and has Columbia as their top choice, but was turned down by Columbia, and sees, well, I can still go to Columbia if I go to Simmons and then do this dual degree, Columbia will say no at that point. Okay, so this is the only reason why students have to officially apply to Columbia, because Columbia wants to make sure that students are not using this as a way to kind of cheat their way back in after they've been denied admittance.
So it's not guaranteed then?
Yeah, it's pretty much guaranteed as long as you haven't done that and as long as you meet the admission requirements. And so the advisor will help make sure make it very clear what the admission requirements are. And you do have to receive A's and B's and have a very high GPA. So this is really only for high achieving students, but it is a really great program. Also, if a student after those 3 years at Simmons does not get into Columbia or decides, you know what, I don't want to do 2 more years and just get another bachelor's, I'd rather go and get a master's degree. Number one, they will still get their bachelor's degree from Simmons in those 3 years. They would graduate from Simmons. And the program coordinator is currently working on partnerships with BU and Northeastern for master's degree options for students that don't have a bachelor's in engineering. So Boston University offers a master's degree for students that have a bachelor's degree in science, but not in engineering. And so they're working on doing a partnership with them for those students that decide later on that, you know what, I don't want to do a bachelor's degree at Columbia, I would rather do a master's degree at Boston University. So making sure that the students have more options in the end, because students change their mind. You might have a very specific track right now, and 2 years in, you say, you know what, I actually want to do something else. I'd rather get done and do my master's and then go into the workforce. So just making sure that students have those options, I think, is really important. And Simmons is definitely thinking ahead on that to make sure that the students have those options when year 3 happens. So this is a cohort program that happens in the fall. So admittance to this is just in the fall. This is a first-year plan. So all students at Simmons, leadership is a really, really big component of Simmons, women's leadership. And so they have a leadership course that really challenges them to think for themselves as leaders. We just had a student panel recently, and all of the students on the student panel, when asked what their favorite class was so far, mentioned the leadership course. And one of them mentioned the Boston course, but the leadership course is a really big one, really thinking about women leadership, inspirational leaders. And so there's lots of different options of what kind of leadership classes. They're not all the same, right? It depends on your interests. Environmental leadership, maybe if you're going into science, maybe women writers as leaders if you're going into humanities or English, or inspirational leaders in healthcare if you're wanting to go into the healthcare field. So you can kind of learn about that matching with your interests. Then a Boston course. We are in the heart of Boston. We want to make sure that you're a part of the community of Boston and feel like you belong to Boston and want to engage you with the city of Boston, giving back. A lot of our students end up volunteering as well. And so just talking about sustainability in Boston, the news network, food is love, and lots of different types of classes as well there for students. So students take one of each of these kinds of classes. And then the Simmons course, which really just prepares students for their transition to college life. You can be a most exceptional student in your current school at the high school level, and then you come to college and there's lots of exceptional students around and you feel a little lost with everything that's going on, because it's really given up to you. So really teaching you time management, goal setting, how to handle stress, how to get involved, etc. So really focusing on giving the students those critical skills right away in that first year so they can be really successful throughout the rest. Again, I mentioned our students all participate in real-world learning. This has been something Simmons has been doing since the very beginning. This is not new to Simmons. All students must participate in real-world learning. What does that look like? It can be an internship, which I know is the traditional way of looking at real-world learning. But for some students, an internship is not the right fit. If a student is going into more science, STEM, or medical, then a clinical or research might be the better fit for them for real world learning, right? They might want to be in a research project with a professor or an outside organization or do a clinical. Maybe for some of them, independent study is the right fit for them because their interest is something really new and innovative, and so they want to do an independent study on that. For other students, field work might be the right thing, and for others, a senior thesis. So it really just depends on the student. And we do have a team at Career Services that works with the students as well as their advisors and their professors to help make sure the student finds the right fit for them, because they all have to participate in real world learning, but real world learning does not look the same for each student. Okay. It is a residence campus, meaning the first year, freshman year, all students live on campus. We do have 9 residence halls around a main quad. The quad just looks like the academic campus. It's a bunch of buildings around this beautiful grassy area. It's just a short walk to the academic campus, about 5 to 10 minutes. They have laundry there. They have lots of computer labs, sports centers, a multi-faith prayer room, study room. So it's not just a place to sleep, but it's a place to live, place to interact with other students, meet other students, study, etc., and also eat. So lots of meal plans. But here's just an example of some of the study areas. And this isn't in the residence hall. This is just on campus. This is the Multicultural Center. And they've actually just redone the entire campus last year because Simmons was closed during the pandemic. They were fully online. And they decided to use that time to redo their campus and do a lot of construction. And so you can really see on the inside of the buildings, there's lots of really great study areas for students. I often, when I work on campus, sometimes I decide to get out of my office and just go into one of those areas because there are just so many little nooks and crannies that are kind of fun and unique and funky. No, I mentioned the College of the Fenway. These are the universities that belong to the College of the Fenway. So Simmons, Massachusetts College of Art and Design, Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Emmanuel College, which is like Simmons but co-ed, and the Wentworth Institute of Technology. So they are all right there, and students can take courses, use the libraries and fitness facilities at all the other colleges. So even though you have Simmons as your university, you can actually use the facilities at all the other ones, and you can take 2 classes per semester at any of the other universities for the same price as your Simmons tuition. So it doesn't cost extra. The College of the Fenway also has some extra things like a Center for Performing Arts. So students that are interested in dance or chorus, they can do that at the College of the Fenway because there's just more students interested in that. They have more facilities and options to do that. They also offer a minor in performing arts. The minor is done by taking courses at the different universities and put together one minor. They have intramurals, so lots of little club sports for students. So anything from soccer, basketball, skiing, snowboarding, whatever your interest is, there's probably a club for it at this College of the Fenway. And student engagement. So this is where we talk about if you're seeing, okay, I feel like a minority in whatever way, and I'm not seeing a lot of students on my campus that look or act or feel or engage in the same passions or interests that I do. But at the College of the Fenway, you are going to find that. So it can be from international students, LGBTQ+, people of color. So there's lots and lots of different clubs for that because, again, you have a community of 12,000 students that all feel the same way. There's a Center of Sustainability. So if that's important to you, again, there is a lot of that at the College of the Fenway. We are right on the Emerald Necklace. There is a lot of green space right next to Simmons. And so they take that very seriously. And one of the most popular things is that you can cross-register. So you can register for up to 2 classes per semester, summer classes. Tuition is the same as the home campus. You just pay for the supplies, whatever the class asks for. And you can explore different courses and register. So I think that's a really, really great option because, yes, Simmons is a women-centered institution, meaning that at the classes at Simmons, it's going to be just women in your classes. But if you feel like, you know what, I kind of want to take a class, a co-ed class with some guys in it, you can go take one at Emmanuel or maybe the Massachusetts College of Art and Design. It just depends. So you're gonna have lots of different kinds of interactions and lots of different kinds of communities available to you, which I think just makes it even more interesting because you get to create your own experience in so many different ways at Simmons. And the College of the Fenway student savings. So their campus bookstore, you get discounts, you get free Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, you get free wireless at all the campuses. So lots of different things. And this is just a little bit about each of the colleges. Emmanuel is very beautiful right next to Simmons. College of Art and Design has a lot of gallery space. Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Science. This, I think, has a very large international student population. With Institute of Technology. Leadership and involvement, again, is very important at Simmons. So there's lots of different ways you can become involved as a leader, but they really focus on leadership. Women's leadership is a big part of Simmons. So you can get involved in campus employment or clubs and organizations, any which way you like. And so these are some of the top employers of recent graduates at Simmons. Again, it is the #1 best value university in Boston for a reason. 91% of our students are employed or in graduate school within 6 months. There is a pretty high average salary for a student that just graduated, and most of them are employed in a field related to their major. And I think a lot of that has to do with that real world experience and the alumni network. And so these are some of the top employers of recent graduates. Many of them are in the Boston area. And again, Boston, New England, you have Boston, then you have Providence, then you have Hartford, Connecticut, and you have New York City, all within a 4-hour drive from one another. And so a lot of students have tons and tons of opportunities to network and interview and meet with employers in that area, which I think also makes it a really unique location. And I want to talk a little bit, because we're talking about women in STEM, why a women-centered university is a really great option for women who are interested in STEM degrees and becoming leaders in their field, in any field, but especially in their STEM field. So women's college students report a higher level of active learning, faculty participation, and interaction and class participation. And the reason for that is in many STEM fields tend to be very male dominated.
Yep.
And especially in colleges, universities, classrooms, science classes, engineering classes, computer science especially, you might have 2 or 3 women in a class of 30 men. And at Simmons, it's only women. And so women tend to feel less intimidated to speak up, to become leaders in group projects, to just interact more with their professors and participate in class. And Simmons takes women's leadership very seriously at all levels, meaning it's not just women at the undergraduate level that attend Simmons, but they actually have a majority of women who teach the classes and who are administrators at the university. It doesn't mean that they're taking less experienced people. They have men as well, but they really do focus on promoting women that show that they are capable. 2 times as likely to complete a graduate degree. So women's college students are twice as likely to go and do a master's degree. And I think that has to do with the fact that they want to become leaders in their field. So they have that ambition to do more. Many of the alumni I've seen at Simmons end up starting their own companies. And that's a big part of that leadership. I think they kind of learn to be proactive and follow their dreams and do the things that they want to do and learn how to do that and not just sitting back. And 30% of rising women in corporate America are women's college graduates. So again, all these women that are becoming vice presidents, senior vice presidents, and in the C-suite, CEOs, CFOs, COOs, many of them are women's college graduates. And that's not just Simmons, but there are quite a few women's colleges in the US, and they're all very, very prestigious. Women's college graduates have more successful careers and find more satisfaction in their work. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they are encouraged throughout their time at Simmons, at the university, to really follow their dreams and figure out what it is they want and to speak up about what they want. They're more likely to collaborate in faculty-led research or work in political campaigns. So again, leadership, they're really proactive. They care about their community. They are willing to speak up and ask for the things that they want. Because in the end, the worst case scenario is someone will say no, but not asking, you'll never know. And then also in the US, 20% of women in Congress are graduates of women's colleges and universities, which I think is a very impressive statistics. So these are women that really do go out there and they make changes in the world. So for STEM, women in STEM, I think a women-centered university is an excellent option for many reasons. The application process, I know Tiffany talked a little bit about the requirements, a GPA of 3.0, TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo. We can help here at Kaplan if you need a Duolingo. We can help get you some of that help as well. The minimum age is 16, and we do offer conditional admission on English for 1 year. And I know that you'd asked about the Women's Leadership Scholarship. So we do offer a very special scholarship because of our partnership with Kaplan. It is a 50% undergraduate tuition award that's worth over $80,000 over 4 years. So it is renewable every year. It is only for high-achieving female international students. So it's not open to just anyone. So you do have to apply through Kaplan. You do have to be open-minded, intellectually curious, have leadership potential, community involvement, and passion and drive. And once you put through your application with Simmons and you receive an offer and are accepted by Simmons, the only thing you need to do is describe your interest in women's leadership by a video or an essay, or if you don't want to do either of those, you can do a one-on-one interview meeting with me.
Okay.
At the moment, we have very high success rate with this scholarship. So we have about 95% of students have received the scholarship that have applied through Simmons with us. So the chances are quite good that you will receive this scholarship. And so just to give you a breakdown of what that means with this scholarship. Okay, it's over $80,000 over 4 years, but what does that really mean? So just some requirements: the online application, copy of passport, transcripts, English test scores, a letter of recommendation, and a written personal statement, and again for the scholarship. So here we can kind of get a breakdown of tuition. So this is for this year. So nursing tuition is slightly higher. The nursing program is extremely competitive. So just to let you know about that, and it does charge a little bit more just because of all the different clinicals that they do in that program. The tuition for Simmons normally is $41,872. That's pretty normal for tuition at any university in Boston. Most of the universities in Boston are about $50,000 to $60,000 a year for tuition. Simmons is on the lower end. But with this scholarship, that's 50% off. So with the scholarship, the tuition is only $20,936. So that's you get to study in the heart of Boston at a top university for half the price of any other university in Boston. And you get all the experiences you would get at any of those other universities for half that price. So again, you can go study and take classes at any of the other universities in the College of the Fenway for this same price. And this is renewable. So you would have this tuition price every year for 4 years, as long as you are in good academic standing. And good academic standing means not having a GPA below a 2.5. Room and board, again, it is a residential campus, so they do ask you to live on campus that first year. And that's really just because it helps you get acclimated to the university setting, life in Boston, the cultural adjustments, because it's right there. And you have this whole community of other students. And so for that first year, room and board is about $16,000, but after the first year, it's optional. So you might meet some people that first year and say, you know what, let's go find an apartment together, a studio, and live together and share and save some money. And that's totally fine. These are the amount of funds needed for an I-20 for the full year, and that includes the tuition scholarship amount. So it would be higher if you did not have the scholarship. And we do ask for a deposit once you receive your acceptance letter, your offer letter of $1,500, and that would just go straight towards your tuition and accommodation. So that money just goes straight into your stuff. It's not getting lost in the system somewhere. And just a little overview, like I said, prices in the universities in Boston. You can get a little idea of some of the top universities in Boston, what they charge in tuition. And again, Simmons is on the low end, plus you get that 50% off scholarship. And these are some important dates to remember. So we're really, really pushing for spring 2022. We do have a couple spaces left and a couple scholarships still left to offer up to the right students. The application deadline is December 1st. So I really recommend that you put through those applications as soon as possible, because we want to make sure that you can get your visa interview and come to Simmons, and you'll get to meet me because I will help on the international student orientation. I will be there multiple days a week. And we do lots of fun activities. We just went to Salem, Massachusetts and did Halloween. In a couple weeks, we're going to go to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum and do a little tour. We're going to go to Plymouth, Massachusetts and do a Thanksgiving parade tour. And then I also host a women's leadership book club online for anyone that wants to just interact a little bit more. So this is just a little bit about Simmons. Let's get back. Stop share.
Maybe you want to share the campus tour, Leslie? The one that you took yourself?
Yep.
It's actually the most exciting part.
Yeah, we have some time. So let
We're
me
gonna
take
just
you
be
on the
able to
campus
have like
tour.
a very official campus tour.
Yeah, it's very unofficial because it's really me taking my phone and taking you around. So
Thank you.
yeah, so this is Simmons campus on a beautiful fall day a couple weeks ago, so you can see. And mostly I'm going to walk around campus so you can see what's around campus, because I know we talk a lot about the location, where we are, but it's beautiful. So right here across the street is the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, and you do get free admission, and it is a really cool museum. And again, I talked about the robbery, and Isabella Stewart Gardner is very eccentric. So she made as a rule when she died that no one was allowed to change anything in the museum. You couldn't take any of the art away and replace it with something else. So when the paintings were stolen, they had to leave the blank spaces there. So you can go to the museum and you can see, oh, there's where it was stolen. Most museums would hide that. They're not going to show that. They're going to kind of cover it up with something else. So we're just walking across the street, lots of beautiful parks and green spaces. And right here across the street is the Wentworth, the residence halls for the Wentworth Institute of Technology. So just right around campus, there's some student housing right here, not for Simmons, but for Wentworth, which is then across the street and right next to Northeastern. And then across the street from that is the Museum of Fine Arts. So we're just going to walk some more. Here's Isabella Stewart Gardner again. You can see it looks like an Italian villa. And over to the right, you see all those trees. That's the green area, the Emerald Necklace. So it's a really beautiful path to walk along. Lots of people run along there. There's some gardens, some public gardens that people put together there. And so this is Simmons again. So I just want to give you a short little, so here's a map. This is the Longwood area. And this is where we are. So just getting an idea of Simmons. And this is the Back Bay Fens area. So this is all this beautiful green area surrounded all around with this beautiful river. So it's just an absolutely beautiful, idyllic location. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and walk through campus. This is the main office building. This is one of the main academic buildings. And this is to go downstairs. There's still a little bit construction, but it should be done by now, actually, because this was a couple weeks ago. As you can see, there's all the chairs outside, and students, it was a really beautiful day. So students are sitting outside, studying, doing their thing. It's not a huge campus. It's a very accessible campus, which I think makes it really nice. It's very beautiful all over the place. So we're just going inside so you can see some of the buildings, all the new stuff that they've done. And then I have another video.
So you just right across Northeastern, is it true? Is it right?
It's right across and down the street.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so it's maybe one T stop from Northeastern, or you could walk to Northeastern in about 10, 15 minutes. Because right next to the Museum of Fine Arts, and then it's Northeastern. And so this is another upstairs study space, lots of classrooms. Okay. It's just really, really pretty. Again, I like to come in here and just kind of find a spot and set up and just work a bit answering emails, because it's just a nice change. There's so much light in all of these. And then at the very top of this building, there's actually a deck, a roof deck with lots of chairs and tables for students to sit and study and look. And it has a beautiful view of Boston. And again, you can get vending machines, water all over the place. So it's just a very nice campus. So across is the sort of more student union area where you have the bookstore. So walking through here, this is the science building, the main science building. I'm walking across. And so now we're going to walk around in the neighborhood, and I'm going to show you. This is the Merck laboratory, the big glass building. So that's where they're doing the new COVID pill. It'll cure COVID, So you're surrounded by science all over the place. This is Harvard Dental.
Oh.
Yeah, Harvard Dental School.
I see.
And this is another Harvard Dental School building. So right next door, you have Harvard Dental School. And then across the street is something called Boston Latin. It's a high school, but it's the most prestigious high school in all of Boston. They have the School of Dental Medicine. Yeah.
I passed by this before.
This Boston Latin School. So there's just students everywhere. Lots of green spaces. Absolutely beautiful. I just thought these, this is a stained glass art by a scientist of different cells. It's really beautiful. So just seeing everything across the street, it's a beautiful area. We're going to go just straight, and you'll see Harvard Medical School.
Oh.
Yeah, Harvard Medical School, and they have a really beautiful campus in Quad. So you go up these stairs, And this is the whole Harvard Medical School. This with all these buildings, and they have this beautiful quad and cafe, and lots of students come and congregate here. Sometimes they have a DJ out there. I have a friend who runs a COVID lab at a Boston Children's Hospital, which is just down the street, and she comes here a lot and has lunch. She hired the DJ for her 40th birthday party. So it's not just students that congregate here. It's scientists, it's doctors, it's everyone. Okay, so there's just the energy and the environment and the people you can meet is just, I think it's just absolutely amazing, and there's nothing like it anywhere else. I think the only other place I can think of that might be similar is in the Kenmore area where MIT is, and there's a lot of biotech startups, but that's the only other area that has this kind of energy, right? So this is, the whole thing is Harvard Medical School, and it's open to anyone, right? So it doesn't mean you have to be a student there to go to that area. Anyone can go. You can go there, have your lunch. You can go to choose and study there and be like, this is where I want to be, and just soak in that energy and manifest it for yourself. This is the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. So again, this is also right next door to Siemens, and their residence halls are right next door to Siemens as well. This is a big health school. More dental medicine buildings. It's all over the place. And so this school definitely has a lot of international students, and is a very, again, if you have a student, again, with STEM that is interested, you know what I want to do, I go into pharmacy, but there's no pharmacy undergraduate degree because undergraduate pharmacy degrees don't really exist in the US. But I want to maybe do some classes to prep me for pharmaceutical school afterwards. You could take some of those classes at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy. Right? Again, College of Art and Design. They have a huge gallery space. Lots and lots of amazing artists have come from this school. And if you have a student that, yes, wants to do STEM, but also art is their other passion, can still do that at that school and can study both, right? Take classes in both. Just like that person with the stained glass art. That's a scientist. He's a doctor. And he takes the pictures under the microscope and turns it into stained glass because he's also an artist. So there's lots of different ways to combine your different passions. You don't have to just be one thing. And Boston really understands that. And so now we're just walking back to Simmons. So we're just walking down the street where the Isabella Stewart Gardner is, and Simmons is right next door. So we're back to the Simmons campus, just coming through the back path onto the academic quad again. I'm going to take you into the building so you can see the common ground where the students eat and hang out. So this is downstairs is a big cafeteria and lots of different food options for students. Students hang out here, eat. There's breakfast, there's lunch, there's dinner, depending on what you're looking for. Lots of students, you just walk up here, and then upstairs is a cafe. So the cafe has, yes, coffee, but they also have different rice bowls. They have different breakfast sandwiches in the morning, and it has more of a lounge space to it. As you can see with all the chairs and tables, it's a little bit more loungy. So again, I like coming up here too and working sometimes because it just has a different feel to it. And then these are some of the bigger classrooms and the entrance. Now I'm going to take you to the residence hall. Okay, so we just left the Simmons campus. This is the Merck laboratory again. And we're going to walk down the street and we're going to walk to the Emmanuel College campus. This is one of the colleges of the Fenway. It's very similar to Simmons in size and structure. It's a liberal arts school, about 1,800 undergraduate school students. It's a co-ed school. And it's a Jesuit school, so it has a church and stuff like that. But it's also, very open and liberal. But it is co-ed. They have a really beautiful campus. So lots of red brick buildings, their library, and so you can walk across this campus or around the campus to get to the Simmons residential campus. So as you can see, it's just a different kind of architecture, but also really pretty. I think it's beautiful to walk through. I always walk through it on my way from my bus stop down to my office at Simmons. And so across the street, you can see the area and see some of the architecture. Again, it's very pretty. It's very different. It's very old. It has a very different feel to it, but I think is also just very, very cool. Everyone everywhere is extremely friendly and helpful. I've multiple times had to ask people, like, where is this? Where is that? Over there, you can see is the Fenway area. So this is where there's lots of shopping. The Fenway Stadium is just behind those buildings. There's a Target store. There's an REI. There's a Time Out Market with lots of little food places, lots of different restaurants. There's lots of different kinds of shopping there as well. So it's all right here. And the great thing also is public transportation. You have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different public transportation options depending on where you want to go in Boston. So it's all within walking distance, very close. So we're just still walking across the Emmanuel campus. You can see the Fenway area. And this is lots of apartment buildings as well. So some students that end up leaving after the first year might find an apartment in this area to share with some other students. So again, still very close by. And then another university that's just right next to the residence halls for Simmons is the BU Fenway campus. So not only do you have Harvard and the College of the Fenway's colleges, but you also have Boston University's Fenway campus. So now we're gonna, which is right across the street here. So now we're gonna just go into the residence halls. These are the Simmons residence halls, residence campus. And so it's just a short walk from the Simmons academic campus, just across the Emmanuel campus. So you're really walking across a campus to get to your campus. It's not an unpleasant walk. It's actually quite pleasant.
So it's not far from BU, right?
Yeah, it's right across the street from BU, and you walk across Emmanuel. And these are all residence halls. So these are all residence buildings. This is where all the students live. Again, you can see in the middle, there's a lot of grassy area with lots of chairs to sit in. Of course, in the winter, the chairs go away. But in the fall and summer, springtime, they put the chairs out, and students can sit out there and congregate, study. Lots of different places for the students to be and hang out. And the residence halls themselves, there's rooms, but there's also lots of lounge areas and study rooms for the students. There's quite a few residence halls. There's 9 of them. So there's lots of different options for students. And then this is the main area where there's a lot of places for the students to eat and hang out. And then just behind it all is the athletic facility. And then just walking back out, and you can see, I'm going to show you just a quick clip of how you can see right down the street. So right across the street already, that's a hospital. And just down the street, these are all hospitals. These are all world famous Boston hospitals from Dana-Farber to Brigham Young, to Brigham Women's Health, to Massachusetts Boston Children's Hospital, which I had to take my son to and highly recommend. One of the top children's hospitals in the world. So yeah, just to give you a little tour, like as if we were on a fam trip and I got to take you around, but we don't get to do that right now. But I wanted to give you an idea, because when I went walking around my first time, I was pleasantly surprised by how much was around, and how engaging and just inspiring the area is. Because for me, the area is inspiring. I can only imagine how inspiring it is for an 18, 19-year-old student that still has their whole life ahead of them and has all these ideas of what they want to do. And there's all these people doing it. So.
Love that place, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just
it's not far from Prudential building, right? The mall, Prudential Mall.
Yeah, that's a little bit further down. So you just take the T, and that's a whole shopping area. Then you have the whole Back Bay, Newberry area. You have the Charles River. I mean, it's all right there. On a nice day, you can walk there or if you don't want to walk, you can take the T. It's like 3 or 4 stops on the T.
The green or the yellow, right?
It's the green. We're right on the green line, the E line. But then right above were Fenway is, that's the
Yeah.
D line. So it's like I said, you have various options depending on
Right.
what you want to do. It's just it's really amazing. And even when we went to Salem, which is an hour outside of Boston, we took the train. And then we took the train back. When we go to Plymouth later this month to take the students to see their famous Thanksgiving parade, we're taking the train. And then we're going to take the train back. And it's not an expensive train ticket. It was like $5 or $6. So you can get around Boston and the area in Boston pretty easily. We have beaches in the summer that you can take the train to. In the winter, the College of the Fenway, like I said, do ski and snowboarding trips. So they organize a bus for the students to go skiing or snowboarding if that's what interests them. There's lots of hiking clubs because there's lots of hiking around here.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of different options. And even though, in the winter it gets quite chilly here, there's just so many different places where you can go and be. So.
Okay.
Amazing though.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I live here and I love it. And I moved here 4
So
years.
we're definitely looking forward to our future students to actually really be there at Siemens.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that we already have quite a few questions, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think Pa Ferry can just straight away read up the questions.
Yeah.
No SAT required. It is a test optional school, right?
Mhm.
So again, biochemical engineering is not offered at Simmons. It is offered through the 3+2 with Columbia, but you still wouldn't have to take the SAT because you would start at Simmons, and Simmons does not require the SAT. And you would start, for example, maybe doing biochemistry, and then you would move into the biochemical engineering at Columbia, and you wouldn't have to take any extra tests. You wouldn't have to take an extra English test, SAT test. You would just have to meet the academic requirements at Simmons, which are pretty high. You would have to have like a 3.5 GPA. You have to have A's and B's in your classes while at Simmons in order to transfer to Columbia. But you don't have to do the SAT. And again, you never know what you really want to do in 3 years. You can start now in that program and change your mind and do a master's instead.
What's the score of the IELTS for this program, for engineering? 6.5? Or
For what do you mean?
English,
requirement.
I think
are the same.
Yeah,
It's all the same.
6.5.
Yeah.
6.5. Right.
Yeah. So they don't differentiate on the English scores based on programs. Simmons is pretty straightforward when it comes to that stuff. So
for the scholarship, how's the term and conditions? Do we have to maintain the GPA? If yes, how does it work?
So to receive the scholarship, they would just have to, again, put together a video, essay, or meet with me. We do still have quite a few to give away for the spring, so the chances are pretty high that they might receive one. You have to be accepted to Simmons first, and then we can go ahead and work on that scholarship. For extremely high achieving students right now for the spring, just for this spring, we do have a one-time non-renewable scholarship that is just from Kaplan. That would be a one-on-one meeting with me, and then I can discuss with the student what that looks like. And that can be used towards housing or towards their tuition or fees. But the 50% off scholarship, that is renewable every year. And it is a scholarship from Simmons in partnership with Kaplan. And in order to receive it from the first year to the second, to the third, to the fourth, they just have to maintain a GPA. I believe it's 3.0.
I see.
Or actually,
yeah.
So they have to stay in good academic standing, meaning if a student starts to fail lots of classes, that becomes a problem, right? But most students have to stay high and in good academic standing. And they have advisors that work with them on that. You know, it's not like a student starts to fail classes and then that's it. They usually have a semester to kind of get it back up again. And they have an advisor that will work with them and say, hey, these are the things you need to do in order to come back from that.
Okay, Miss Tiffany, would you like to add something? Okay.
No, I think pretty much is already done by last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So financial aid or student loans, they don't have that. They don't have student loans. We do just have the 50% off scholarship. And like I
see.
said, for this
Yep.
spring, we do have a one-time possible scholarship as well, but that would not be renewable. So if you're looking for something continuous, unfortunately, we don't offer that besides the 50% off scholarship.
Okay, thank you. IG question here. What's the acceptance rate for international students, please?
So if it goes through Kaplan, we tend
Uh-huh.
to be pretty good about looking over the paperwork, making sure that you're a good candidate. So we're not going to submit your application if we don't think you have a good chance of being accepted. Overall, since the partnership has started, the acceptance rate has been about 85 to 90%. So it's pretty high, but that's also because at Kaplan, we do really do our due diligence to make sure you have that chance. We don't want to give you false hope.
I see. Thank you. How about the during the pandemic right now? Since the border is opened, what kind of classes like do you do face to face?
Yes.
Or
All classes are face-to-face. Again, they are small classes. Simmons does require students to be fully vaccinated. So if you are not fully vaccinated now, or you don't have a vaccine that is recognized by the World Health Organization, Simmons will help you get vaccinated at Simmons. We have a health center there. You do receive health insurance as part of your student fees at Simmons. We did this, for example, this fall, we had a couple students that were only partially vaccinated or not vaccinated at all, or had, a Russian vaccine that wasn't recognized. And so we just made sure to get them vaccinated within that first month or two, right? And then you just submit the paperwork online, and the International Student Office will work with you to make sure that everything's okay. Because I know one student got an email saying, hey, you didn't submit your paperwork, you're out of, you're not supposed to be here, you're not doing it right. And we were like, don't worry, let it go. You're on the process. You just got your first one. Now you're going to get your second one. Submit it when you have it. If they come to you again, let us know and we'll go talk to them, that sort of thing. So we do require vaccination, but we also will work with you on that vaccination.
no quarantine.
All the classrooms, you do have to wear a mask, and that is a rule in all of Boston. So all of Boston requires masks indoors everywhere at the moment. They were no masks during the summer, and then once Delta kind of hit and got strong, they started to mask up again and make that a rule. So they may take the rule away eventually. I know that right now they've just approved vaccinations for kids. And I think once more kids are vaccinated, they may start to, and once the boosters, more people are getting the booster vaccination, they may start to get rid of the indoor mask rule. But Simmons may not choose to do that. Okay.
I see. Okay. Since we are running out of time here, right? So what's your message to Indonesian students to pursue and start their study, for next winter, January? Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Spring
my
intake.
message to you is to put together your application package, get in contact with your agent and Tiffany and the Kaplan team, and have them submit them and reach out to them if you have any questions. And I think you have a really great chance at Simmons. We had this fall, we had an amazing group of students that came in, and they are so excited to be at Simmons. And I think you're going to have the exact same experience. You're just going to meet such a great group of people. We can connect you with other people as well if you're a little hesitant or scared or you're not quite sure. We're here to help make sure that this transition is as smooth as possible. And the great thing about Simmons is that we are a small community, even though we're nestled within a much larger one. But because we are a small community, we're here to help you. And you're not just a number. We're really going to take you by the hand and help you with whatever you may need, okay, and guide you as much as possible. You're not going to be forgotten.
Thank you so much for it. Oke, saya akan menyudahi acara ini dan juga terima kasih Bu Tiffany.
Thank you, Pak Ferry.
Thank you so lot, Miss Dr. Leslie. Yeah. So hopefully all of us here semua yang menyaksikan ini mendapatkan informasi selengkap mungkin mengenai Siemens College University. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice day.
Everyone, thanks everyone. Thanks, Leslie. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, it's Marilee. One of the most unique and rewarding aspects about Simmons is its woman-centered environment. When John Simmons founded the university in 1899, he did so with the intent of providing women the education and tools they needed to seek fulfilling careers and live independent lives. This week, I sat with members of our community to talk about the advantages of an education at Simmons today.
For me, a women's focused or a women's centered education means something really different from what traditional co-ed institutions do.
Women-centered at Simmons means providing a space that empowers women, but not necessarily restricted to women. It can be anyone of any gender identity.
My high school was completely co-ed. It was more guys than girls. I talk a lot, like I've always talked a lot, and I've never been really shy, but we always had discussions in my classes, and I felt like I would never talk as much when there was guys because it felt they would in a way silence you. Being here, I felt like you're always being heard and that you're not being judged by everything that you're saying.
I didn't realize how much of an impact it would really have on me to be in a women's focused environment. The way that I found my voice, I was very shy in high school and middle school, and Simmons actually really empowered that voice while I was here.
I went to a women's college as an undergraduate, but I would say it was not women-centered or women-focused. In 4 years, I had one female professor. Simmons is very different. It's not just that we're women-centric or women-focused, it's also that we have women who are leaders at every level of the administration.
I think it's really clear as well that the tilt toward a female faculty is an unusual thing, and it's something that, especially in fields where men have dominated, STEM disciplines, business disciplines, it's important. And then to look at the leadership of the institution, which at this moment is 100% women.
I feel like the moment that I started, I've been encouraged by all my professors and other students, and I feel I have a voice.
The undergraduate body is an ideal size. It's not so small that you feel like you see the same spaces over and over and over again, and students can also rise in terms of leadership positions, in terms of organizational activities and responsibilities.
Went to Rutgers University and wanted a smaller learning environment, something that felt more like home. And I can tell that the level of dedication from all professors is just unmatched at different schools.
I like to say that our faculty here are great scholars and researchers as well as wonderful teachers. They're in the classroom, they're supervising internships, they're mentoring students, they're doing bench research with students, and they're really available to students in a way that folks at large research universities, for example, would not be.
There is a high rate of student participation in class, and it's great because it translates into internships and jobs. So if you're comfortable asking a question in one of your courses, you're going to be more comfortable asking a question in any internship or job that you get.
We like to talk about intersectional theory and about the ways that our identities are constructed not just in terms of gender, but also in terms of race and ethnicity and age and class and religion.
Simmons has given me the space as someone who identifies as non-binary, so it makes me really proud to be part of the community. We are really empowered to take on greater leadership positions once we get into the workforce.
I started out in startups as a product designer. There was transparent pay and the idea that I wasn't being valued as much as my male coworkers. And I took the tools I learned from Simmons and started to build a team that feels empowered at Doe. And at Doe, we're all about empowering everybody to shop from women-owned businesses in order to uplift women so that we can have more representation in the C-suite and beyond. It brought me right back to being a Simmons student and realizing that those values came full circle that were instilled in me here.
Women who leave here don't just enter into organizations, but move fairly quickly into leadership roles. I hope Simmons will continue to stake its claim as the preeminent developer of women for positions of leadership in the world. And I think it's something that we have a long history of, we have a public reputation for, and we have to be sure that our students get the benefit of all of that expertise as well.
If you're interested in Simmons or a woman-centered environment, make sure to follow me and subscribe below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, have a great week.